thought it was time to finally deliver on some long promised but probably not long anticipated and waited for content, right? So just before I got sick, which is over like a month and a half or so ago now, I was reached out to by a homie in Australia. I believe he's in Australia. His name is Scott, and he was doing a super basic K20A3 Vtec killer. Wow, that's not looking too good. I gotta be out driving in that here in an hour. Anyway, so here's the thing with the K20A3, and especially with the Vtec killer. And this is my initial thoughts and the reasons why I didn't like the Vtec killer at first, because when I was first introduced to Vtec killer, it was through the K20A3. There wasn't a lot of hard dyno numbers on it, and it seemed like the one guy, one person, his dyno sheet was getting repeated by multiple sources. So it's like one person that was being used by multiple people to verify how much of a awesome upgrade that the Vtec killer is for K20A3. Now, what we have seen is multiple independent dyno sources for the K24 Vtec killer being pretty consistent and solid, right around 210 horsepower without much effort. You know, like just a stock block and head, Vtec killer, basic bolt-ons, intake manifold, intake and exhaust, right? So now finally recently getting an update on a K20A3 Vtec killer, and I was very surprised at the numbers. The numbers, you know, not keeping suspense, was 201 wheel horsepower and 155 or 156 foot-pounds torque. That's really fucking good, really fucking good. And the reason why I say it's really fucking good is this, because it's like 9 wheel horsepower off the common number of what we're seeing from its bigger displacement brother, the K24, right? Which I feel pretty solid now, saying that 210 is a very easy expectation of a stock block, stock head, or head, whatever, a stock block base model K24. It's very impressive, because if you can get 210 horsepower out of a low compression engine block, then how much power are you going to get with just a piston upgrade, right? And here again feeds back to my problem with the K20A3 and its results, right? The problem with the K20A3 and the problem with the K20 in general is there are just not a lot of people that are committing to building a K20. Everybody wants the head because the internet says the head is better for a K24, and the block is just ignored. Now, as far as K20A3s go, I've seen a completely stock block, stock head and bottom K20A3 with bolt-ons make like 176 wheel horsepower, 179 wheel horsepower, and then I saw a full bolt-ons piston swap K20A3 make 189. So the numbers kind of seem to be all over the place. Now, I don't know if it's because of the tuner, where the car is being tuned, the dyno, I don't know. But the problem is we don't have enough people consistently doing this build to really lean into what the numbers can be. Yeah, so I guess this is not just a showcase that, hey, K20A3 made 200 wheel horsepower, but also as much like to try and get more people into this. And I think I've given up on the fact of trying to push the K20 on y'all, because I think the K20 is the one I've talked about the most on VHP engines, because it's just so overlooked, and it's completely capable of making very competent numbers, very good numbers with the little effort. And I think the fact that the K20s are out there in surplus, and you know, the K24s, despite the fact they're easier to build because of the crankshaft situation, that they're just, you know, people are taxing on them. They're getting and in certain places where, depending on where you live, they're getting harder to find. So I think that the K20 is definitely a completely viable block, and people should just be paying more attention to it. Now, I know that the rods are on the weaker side, but there are still all kinds of things that you can do with that block to make it very useful. And considering the fact that most people aren't going crazy high horsepower anyway, especially the guys that are doing Vtec killer. But, you know, this is one of those things where I'm starting to give up hope, or the fact that I don't think that there's going to be a lot of people jumping on the K20, and then I'm going to have to leave it to myself to go out there and actually do it, which is something that could be happening, you know, in the beginning stages of next year, because I'm going to be doing a K swap as soon as the S2000 gets done. I'm going to get the S2000 done, and then I'm moving on to a K. It's most likely going to be turbo, but it's also most likely going to be a K20A3 with a base model Vtec killer head on it, and the goal is like 500 horsepower. For those of you guys that are long-term watchers, you already know what I've got planned for that, and it's still a solid plan. As a matter of fact, that the K20A3 that I'm building now this weekend, or not this weekend because I'm gonna be gone, but the next engine I'm building is the K20A3. It's gonna have Type S rods that are reconditioned and Type R pistons. And that's going to be a nasty little sleeper block. I mean, you're good to throw it at boost at it, or you can go for an NA build. Either way, it's going to be a very impressive number. It's going to be a sleeper killer because it's going to have that nice little ugly K20A3 stamp on the outside, and then it's going to boogie like its big brother. So right now, the plan is to sell that block, because I've got other K20A3s I could definitely use. It's not a big deal. Although I'm not buying blocks anymore and stashing them, I do have one or two more in my original stash. So if I sell this one, it's not that big a deal. So I'm going to be listing that one for sale as soon as it's done. I mean, I've actually kind of already listed it for sale. If somebody were to buy it, I would build it faster and have it shipped out. But in the meantime, who knows? Maybe it doesn't sell. And if it doesn't sell, I've already got a head for it that I need to put together. And I've got the block, and I've got a transmission. So at this point, it would just be starting like buy the accessories and whatnot to actually get it going and to finish a build. I think the only thing I would need to finish an actual engine swap would be a clutch and an engine harness. So hopefully I've kept your attention longer. This is a shorter video for me. I'm about to wrap it up right now. I will leave a link to Scott's video down below because he actually did. It's not a long video either, but it's still pretty comprehensive because I think it shows dyno pulls. He actually does a quick walk around on the car, and he actually does some driving in the car, like on the street driving. So for those of you people who always have a question of what Vtec Killer sounds like or how the drivability is, there's a quick little preview of what it can be if you put a fully functioning swap together. It's not crazy. I'm pretty sure he has full exhaust in here too. All right, guys. So yeah, check his video out, and social media links are in the description down below, as well as his video link. And also, if you got any questions, drop them in the comments down below. If you're just DMing me on my social media platforms to ask questions, I'm not really paying attention to those anymore. If you're DMing me, leave that to business. It just makes things easier for me. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and peace.